want to show people that you can build muscle on a plant-based diet. It's an online fitness and nutrition company. Our mission statement is defying the status quo. So that's why we're out here. There are millions of people that could make that change today and save animal lives. Every day that you choose not to eat meat, you are saving 365 animals a year if you stop eating meat today. So let's do it together. Let's save animal lives. They need a voice too, and we are that voice. We are making that change every day. That's why I went vegan. PlantStrengthPerformance.com is our website. If you want to follow us on Instagram, it's at Plant Strength Performance. We're actually releasing our plant-based meat, and per 4 ounces has 17 grams of protein. So you can never say that vegans are protein deficient anymore. You get your protein in just like that. Nice meeting you guys. Take care.
Alright, so I went vegan because I looked in the animal's eyes and I knew that the suffering that I was contributing to was wrong. And we have been lied to our whole lives. These industries have managed to cover up the biggest atrocity in the history of the world. These animals are forcibly bred. They are kept in tiny, tiny cages and they are violently killed. And when I found this out, I decided I need to change, but not only change, I have to get active and speak up against this abuse. And for me, I was driving on the highway and I saw a livestock truck and I was sitting in the car with my dog. And I was looking back at the truck that was filled with pigs and I was looking back at my dog and I was thinking what is the difference? Why do we love some animals and kill, torture, and abuse others? It makes absolutely no sense. And these industries deliberately hide this truth from us because they know that if the public knew about what was happening behind these closed doors, everybody would be vegan. So I'm vegan for the animals, period. The most important thing is to educate yourself. So there's great documentaries that are out there. The press of a button on Google can show you all of this footage and expose the truth to you. So I would suggest watching Earthlings on YouTube or Dominion on YouTube, both documentaries that will explain the industries at large, at full. And if you can't watch it, you have to ask yourself why you're contributing to it. The hour that we watch this footage and feel uncomfortable is an entire life cycle for an animal. So, really put your own discomfort aside for them and go watch it, get active. I would also recommend watching Game Changers on Netflix. Cowspiracy on Netflix. Forks Over Knives and What the Health are also great ones on Netflix. So check it out and just educate yourself because if you can't kill an animal yourself, you should not be eating them. My process in going to vegan took me a few years. I actually went pescatarian first and then vegetarian, and my one regret is that I didn't go vegan sooner. A lot of us are blind to what happens in the dairy and the egg industries. So I'll tell you a little bit about what happens, but then go research it yourself. With the dairy industry, mother cows are forcibly impregnated on a rape rack, which is industry standard terminology. They are impregnated, they have to wait 9 months until they give birth, and once they give birth, their babies are taken away from them and they scream out in agony for their babies, which the babies are shot in the face if they're male a few weeks after birth for veal. And the mother cows are killed once her milk production slows down, after baby and baby and baby is taken from her. So the dairy industry, you could arguably say that it's worse than the meat industry. I didn't know this, but not only that, guys, like, we should not be drinking breast milk from another species, period. It's bizarre as adults, as human beings. Let me ask you, like, would you drink breast milk from your mom now, at this age? If the answer is no, why would you drink it from another mammal? So that's the dairy industry, and a lot of people overlook it because they think like they're not deliberately killed for the milk, but they are. A lot of cows that I see at the slaughterhouse are dairy cows, are spent dairy cows. The dairy industry is the meat industry and vice versa. Now with eggs are horrific. These tiny little chickens, they're basically artificially bred to be producing menstrual cycles every day. So just like a woman would have a menstrual cycle every month, these chickens are having and laying eggs every day. And they are kept in dark, crammed sheds. Oftentimes they never see the light of day. And once their production slows down, they are also killed. We are literally drinking breast milk and eating chicken periods. It's absurd. How did this become a thing? So guys, look into this. This is just a little synopsis into these industries. There's so much more to learn. My whole world changed when I went vegan, and yours should and can too. Some videos that you can look up about the dairy industry or about the egg industry. Look up Dairy is Scary by Aaron Janus. It's a 5-minute video, 5 minutes out of your day, just to really look into kind of the process of how this works. It really puts things into perspective. What it was for me though was seeing a mother cow chase after her baby as a farmer was separating the two shortly after birth. That's what really got me, because I just couldn't believe what we were doing to these babies and their mothers. If we were doing this to a human species, I mean, think about how painful that would be. That's what got me, and I really started looking into it, and I was like, well, when there's so many alternatives, why would I continue drinking the same one breast milk option, the same dairy cheese, when I can have hundreds of plant-based dairy options, from ice cream, cream cheese, sour cream, cheeses of all sorts, to milks, hemp milk, rice milk, soy milk, oat milk, yogurt. The list goes on. Like, there's just so many options, and when we don't need to do this for survival, we shouldn't. Eggs, I mean, you can really look up just the egg industry, and PETA has a lot of videos on that I've seen as well. Dominion will really go through that if you watch Dominion on YouTube. I often, for breakfast, I'll make tofu scrambles, which are great, super high in protein. I do a little turmeric, I mix it in with onions, lots of nutritional yeast. Like, guys, get on that flow. Like, it is so good. I also do a lot of Just Egg, which is a new vegan egg alternative, and it literally scrambles just like an omelet. So you can make your cheesy omelet with spinach, bell peppers, whatever you please, and nobody gets harmed, and that's the best part. There's a lot of recipes. You can find me at jlokurtz on Instagram. If you have any questions, literally anything at all, like, I will answer and help you. We're just out here spreading awareness, and I hope that you guys go vegan soon.
My name is Lauren. So what's about to happen is we're about to do a cube of truth, which is where people stand in a cube-like formation and we show them footage about what happens to the animals. And some people will talk to the people that walk by that seem like they're connecting or they're interested in what we're showing them. We talk to them about what happens to the animals and why they should go vegan. The reason that I'm passionate about this is because for me, basically, it's the reason I went vegan. When I saw footage, when I saw what the animals go through, in particular, it was Gary Yourofsky's speech. That's on YouTube, the best speech you'll ever hear. I watched that and instantly I made the decision to go vegan, because when you actually see what the animals go through, it's so much more powerful than just telling people. That's why we're here. We're here for the animals, and it makes a big impact. It really does. When people see and then we talk to them right on the spot, people just like me will say, that's it, I can't support this anymore, and that's why we're here. The video shows the meat industry, so that's not just cows, that's chicken, it's pigs, lambs, turkeys, all kinds of animals. We also show fish, that's another thing. People are just like, well, fish are different, right? Well, why? And then we kind of get into that a little bit. We show them footage about eggs, where eggs come from. People are often surprised. They'll say, well, why aren't eggs vegan? What's wrong with eggs, right? There's actually a lot of reasons why, but the number one reason is that 1-day-old chicks, they're separated, the males from the females, and then the males, because they are useless in the egg industry, they will not lay eggs, they get ground up alive. So that usually is something that people don't know, so when they see the footage, they're blown away by that, and you can't argue that. There's nothing to say. It's cruel. And then also dairy. Dairy is a big one. People think, well, cows, this was the mindset that I had. Cows make milk. that's what they do, right? It's for us. But no, we are the only species on this planet that takes the milk from another species. It's abuse. Those animals are tortured. They live a fraction of the life that they would live in nature. They are kept in horrible conditions. They are unhealthy. And most of all, it's just not necessary. So when we have the footage and people ask us about dairy, we can go down that road with them and explain why dairy is cruel.
Hi, my name's Sophie, and I'm vegan because I learned about the way that animals are treated in the animal agriculture industry, and I thought it was so messed up, and I just said I don't need to eat this food or buy this clothes or cosmetics, so I went vegan. And I like to volunteer here because I think a lot of people just don't know the importance of going vegan and how much power it gives you as a consumer and how much freedom it gives you. So I hope that people will want to go vegan when they come to these demonstrations. This is a Cube of Truth, hosted by Anonymous for the Voiceless, where we show factory farm footage to show people what really goes on behind the scenes that they've never seen before. I watched a video called Dairy is Scary. It's a 5-minute video explaining the dairy industry, and I'd already been thinking about going vegan, but was kind of just like flirting with it. And then I watched that video and I was crying, and I was like, that's it, like I have to be vegan. There's just no excuse after what I learned from that short video.
Hey, my name's Albert. I'm actually a pretty new vegan. I've been vegan since August. I started vegetarian, and a lot of it was because a lot of people I respect are Rastafarians. Vegan is just part of the culture. I looked more into why, and I knew about the health benefits, and then once I watched Earthlings, I just realized that this isn't something I can pretend that I don't know, and it's disgusting, it's unethical, it's unjust, and I don't need it. So I just couldn't participate in that anymore. And just participate in an outreach now because I think it's incredibly important. I think it's bigger than personal choice because of the fact that we're talking about life. So there's just so many reasons to go vegan that it's the least that we could do. So that's why I'm here.
Hi, my name is Kiara. I live in New York City, and the main reason I went vegan is because of animal cruelty, animal suffering, the torture that they go through. I was vegetarian for a very long time, for almost 10 years. Well over 10 years ago, I became a non-meat eater because of animal cruelty. Then when I learned about the dairy industry and the cruelty and the torture that those animals suffer just so we can have things like milk, cheese, eggs, I completely went vegan. I've been vegan for over a year now. What made me make the switch was seeing a lot of the footage that Anonymous for the Voiceless shows, watching things like Dominion, Earthlings, all that, especially what the dairy cows, what the mothers go through, just so people can have milk, having their babies ripped away from them, being forced to be pregnant their entire lives, and then slaughtered once they're no longer of use. So I'm here today to spread the word about becoming vegan because we need to change this for the animals. They're living sentient beings. They shouldn't be tortured and suffered like this for food, and we have so many other options to eat. I first saw the footage actually through Anonymous for the Voiceless, and then they recommended some movies to watch like Earthlings, What the Health, Dominion, Game Changers, things like that. Also some pamphlets that AV handed out where it shows the dairy cow being manually inseminated by the farmer, and I've seen video footage of the mother cow chasing the truck driving away with the baby that she just had. It's just completely devastating. So as soon as I learned this, I completely went vegan, and I will never go back.
In 1 year and on 1.5 acres of land, if you were trying to do things more humanely or ethically and raising beef as pasture raised, like by the true definition, they're open and they can live out in the field, in a year's time, you can only produce 375 pounds of beef in a year's time. In that same year's time, on that same 1.5 acres of land, do you know how many vegetables you're able to produce? 37,000 pounds. Okay. Now, if you were to try to equate that, because it's best to keep things even in terms of usable calories, right? Because obviously meat is more calorically dense than plants, so we'll assume that meat is 3 times as calorically dense as plants, right? So then we'll say in that 375 pounds of meat, you'll be producing, in terms of ounces, 6,000 ounces of food in a year's time. If we give every single person a 4-ounce serving, you can feed 1,500 people a 4-ounce serving, all right? So now what we're gonna do to keep things even, we'll say 37,000 pounds of vegetables. Because the beef is 3 times as more calorically dense, we'll divide this by 3. So now it's even. And then we'll multiply it by 16. That's how many ounces you can get. You can feed 49,000 people.
I'm vegan because of the footage over there. Yeah, I can't even, it's hard to comprehend that they put living, breathing things through this. It's one of the most popular ones on Netflix. Yeah,
I've known about the cruelty towards animals and the way we use and exploit animals for human benefit for years. I just needed I needed kind of a push and help to try to just learn more. There was something inside of me that wanted to know, why do we do this to these animals? So I educated myself. I learned about the dairy industry. I learned what we do to animals for fur trim, the skinning alive, all of these horrible, cruel things. And I didn't want that on my conscience. If there is no reason why we need to use animals for human benefit, it's wrong to exploit, to rape them into existence, to constantly breed, just to produce products for humans. It's completely unnecessary, and I really did the research once I educated myself on the truth and the cruelty behind all of these non-vegan products. I knew in my heart I didn't want to be a part of this. I didn't want to be complicit because the consumers are responsible, and I no longer wanted to consume violence. I didn't want to become the violence. So now I'm taking that step back, speaking up for the animals, because I do believe going vegan is the least we can do. It's the first step. Being an activist, I think, is even more helpful to the animals than just being vegan. There needs to be more than that, because if you're a vegan and you're silent, that's not doing much for the animals. The animals need their voices amplified, and they need to be heard. And if their screams and their cries aren't enough in the footage, that's why we get out there. We show the footage at the Cube of Truth. We show the horrors, we show footage, and we're not lying. All of this, all you need to do is search on the internet, Dominion. Watch Dominion on YouTube or any type of animal exploitation, animal agriculture, and it's gonna be right there. So confronting people with the truth instead of trying to break down that lie that we've been told since we were young, the lies that we were taught in school that we need all these products to survive, to be healthy. It's not true. It's simply not true, and we're just here proving that to people in the most effective way, in the best way possible, coming from the heart, defending the animals, because they do need a voice. We need to be there for them, and going vegan is the best decision I've ever done. I went vegan in July, so it's taking me a while to get there, but I'm never gonna look back. It's a decision, one of the best things I've ever done in my life. And I'm just very grateful that I have the opportunity to be here advocating for the animals. I was just always curious about where my food came from. I always questioned it from a very young age. So I've done the research, I looked at videos online. When I was a teenager, 13 years old, I was like, where does this hot dog come from? What is this hamburger on my plate? What am I actually eating? And from a young age, I've always had the curiosity. I wanted to know the truth. And once I saw the footage, I did not get it out of my head. I stopped eating meat, I stopped eating dairy, and stopped eating eggs, and I became a vegan. I don't use leather, I don't use fur, nothing from animals to benefit my life. I don't believe in that. And I think we all have an obligation on this planet to not use those sentient beings for our benefit. It's unnecessary, and there is no justification for that. What stopped me from going vegan for a very long time was the fact that I am in recovery from an eating disorder, and that was something that I struggled with as a teenager, around 13, 14 years old, and it just happened to be around the same time I learned the truth about all this food. So I wasn't eating because I had an eating disorder, and plus this animal cruelty piece to it, and it was very hard for me to navigate that by myself. So I saw doctors, and I wanted to get help for it. The doctors grained it into my parents, your daughter she can't be a vegan. She needs meat, she needs cheese, she needs eggs, she needs yogurt, all of these products that I didn't feel right eating. I felt like a hypocrite. I would walk around telling everybody I am a hypocrite. I cannot say I love animals because I am eating meat. I'm eating their flesh, I am eating their secretions every single day. But it was a tough situation because I was living with my parents, and I didn't have a job, I didn't have any money. So recently, I'm still living at home, but I have a job, I have my own money, And I finally pulled the plug. I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I have to align my actions with my moral beliefs, and I no longer want to be an animal abuser. I don't want to pay for these products that funds this abuse towards animals. And it was, a long process. I have a nutritionist now who's on board with it. So I do believe that just because someone might have an eating disorder or any other mental illness, it's still possible to go vegan. There really is no excuse. And once you take yourself out of the picture and think about it from the victim's perspective, it's going to be a lot easier to make that change. And if it's coming from the right place, like for me, I'm not going to ever let my eating disorder get in the way of being a vegan, because the animals come first. I'm here for them. But I'm 22. It's been almost 9 years since I finally had that struggle between, wanting to transition to be a vegan because of my eating disorder and not knowing how. I was a trapped feeling, and I did really feel like such a hypocrite. I didn't know what to do. I only knew the research that I knew from my own research. I didn't have any outside help. My parents weren't backing me up. My friends thought I was crazy. The doctors thought it was my eating disorder. And it was just really a tough situation to be in. But now that I have the proper help, a proper support team, I'm able to make that step. And now I know a lot about nutrition that I didn't know. I've learned to love food through my veganism. It's really just been an overall great decision, and I don't regret it. It's the best thing I've ever done. I've learned so much about food. I've learned how to enjoy the taste. I don't feel guilty afterwards. I feel alive. I feel energetic because I'm not consuming the flesh of innocent animals. I'm not consuming rotting flesh. I'm not consuming any of their products. Anything that comes out of an animal, I'm not eating any of that. So it's just really a great change. It's the best thing I've ever done. And again, amplifying the voices is the most important part of all of this. Going vegan is just the first step, and I firmly believe that 100%. You can't be a vegan without being an activist. It's such key to get out here and to talk about what happens to these sentient beings. Because I know if I was in that situation, I would want someone out here showing them footage, showing them what goes on, and not to participate in that. Activism can really be as simple as having a conversation with somebody else like I'm doing right now, just a simple conversation, or it can be outreaching somebody who doesn't know anything about the animal agriculture or the industry, and it can also be doing disruptions against fur, against leather, against using the eyelashes, mink eyelashes. It could be really anything. It doesn't have to be this grand, large gesture. Any way that you can amplify your voice for the animals, that already counts as activism. So I like to volunteer at sanctuaries because it also gives me hope that seeing these animals alive and free, that there is a possible chance that there will be a vegan world one day. And I like to go to the sanctuaries, especially after I go to vigils. And the vigils is when we bear witness to the animals right before they're going to be slaughtered by providing them some sort of love and affection and water before they get sent to slaughter. So seeing that happen, seeing the animals just before, we all know what happens to them in the slaughterhouse. Right before that happens, it's a remarkable, life-changing experience. The feeling that you get from that is not one that you can get from anything else. It's different watching it through a computer screen. But seeing the pain, the suffering, the fear on the animal, very close, you're this close to them, very close. You feel it, you can feel the love, and it only makes your activism stronger. So that's something I definitely recommend, going to vigils and to sanctuaries. That has been key to me in keeping this fire alive in me that I know I'm never going to lose. And it just amplifies my desire to speak up for the animals. And I recommend if anybody's interested in going to a sanctuary or go to a vigil, just of course use the internet, Google or Facebook groups. They have a lot of Facebook groups, and that's how I found out about a lot of events. I used my social media, I used my resources, the internet, friends, making vegan friends. The first step is really showing up to the event and getting that vegan community. Then all you need is that one friend that will text you when the events are, and that's how you get involved. You show up, you make friends. Before you know it, you'll be swapped around a bunch of like-minded individuals who are against animal abuse and actually doing something about it. So it's a great feeling, and it's the best community of people to be around. The animals that I have seen at the sanctuaries have either been rescued, have either jumped off from the slaughterhouse trucks to save themselves and to save their babies if they are pregnant, which is remarkable. It just shows, that right there shows the remarkable instinct of that the mothers have, regardless, females, non-human animals, and humans. Like, we all have that motherly instinct inside of us, at least females do, to protect their child. So that to me is amazing. And also when you're at the sanctuary, you can see that the animals there have been through hell. You can tell, beautiful, beautiful animals, very healthy, alive, safe at the sanctuary. but they don't have, some of the little pigs, they don't have tails because they do get cut off. Some of them don't have teeth. You can tell that they've just been through hell and back. So it's just really great to see them there, peacefully living out their lives, resting without humans, like, you know, using them for any benefit whatsoever. And all we do there, we're there to comfort them, to clean the barns, the houses for them. It's a great experience because I want to just make the animals comfortable, to feel safe. So that safety is something that they didn't have back then, and now they have it at these sanctuaries. And it's a beautiful thing to witness because you can see the life come back in their eyes. The animals at the sanctuary are happy and free. You know, one look in their eyes tells you everything you need to know, both at a sanctuary and at a vigil. The vigil, you can see the fear, the suffering, but the sanctuary, you can see the happiness, the smiles they see when they see people come and give them attention. It's a beautiful thing. Great experience too for families to go to sanctuaries, and especially to bring their children, because children are innocent. Children don't know anything about really what goes on. So seeing the animals like that, they're pure, they're innocent, and they're going to be able to make that connection with the animals, which is also very important, because I wish I knew what I know now back then when I was little. So it's always great seeing children come to sanctuaries.
My name is Cassidy, and I participate in Cubes of Truth as well. I've been vegan for 4 years, and seeing footage like we show in the cubes turned me vegan. And I learned about the other industries, and I was like, no more. You know, I could not stand for that. And I met another person who was doing Cubes of Truth, and the next day we went and we did a cube. It was like instant, and I fell in love with it. And the community, everyone was so great people, and we're out here for the animals, you know, doing what we can. I didn't know that there was like a community of outreachers, and then I met this one woman on Staten Island, where I'm from, because we don't really have a lot of vegan people there, and she introduced me to Cubes of Truth, like I mentioned, and she invited me, so I just took the leap and I went for it, and I've been doing it ever since. I think that was like 3 years ago. I did my first cube. I feel great being vegan, you know, I have more energy than ever, and my blood work always comes back like perfect. And I tell my family all the time how like we're saving water when we cut out meat, and my parents also went vegetarian as a start.